What if I told you that long before Atlantis, there was another great civilization, one older, wiser, and far more mysterious? A land not written in history books, but whispered of in ancient temples, carried in myths across the world, and remembered in the deepest layers of human memory. This was Lemuria, the first mother civilization, a place where humanity lived in harmony with spirit, where knowledge of energy, vibration, and the soul's purpose was everyday life. But Lemuria was not meant to last forever. Prophecy says it fell, swallowed by the oceans, its wisdom scattered, its people reborn across ages. Yet, here's the secret. Lemuria never truly vanished. Its signs are resurfacing right now in our dreams, in our intuition, in the great spiritual awakening shaking the modern world. And if you feel it, you already know you may have lived there before. There are stories so old that they have no beginning. Legends that echo not from history books, but from the very fabric of human memory. One of those stories is the tale of Lemuria, the land that time forgot, yet the soul remembers. Imagine a world before Atlantis, before Egypt, before Sumer or Babylon, a world untouched by the corruption of power and the burden of heavy materialism. A world where humanity was still innocent, still luminous, still connected to the living breath of the earth. This was Lemuria, the motherland of mankind, a continent said to have stretched across the Pacific Ocean like a vast emerald crown, bridging lands that now sit as scattered islands: Hawaii, Easter Island, Polynesia, even parts of Madagascar and India. But to reduce Lemuria to geography is to miss its essence. Lemuria was not just land, it was a state of consciousness. The Lemurians were said to be the first great civilization, older even than the golden age of Atlantis. They were the children of Mu, a people who lived not in opposition to nature but as part of its rhythm. Their daily lives were ceremonies of gratitude. Their technology was harmony itself. And their wisdom was not stored in scrolls or buildings, but in the crystalline memory of the earth. Even modern science, by accident, brushed against the story. In the 19th century, European zoologists puzzled over the lemur, a small primate found both in Madagascar and India, yet strangely absent from the vast lands in between. To explain this mystery, they proposed a lost landmass, a Lemuria, that once connected these regions. While geologists later abandoned this idea, spiritualists seized upon it, recognizing in this lost land the echo of a truth far older than science could yet accept. The name stuck, but the story deepened. According to the theosophists, clairvoyants, and mystics of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Lemuria was far more than a bridge for animals. It was the first great human homeland, the cradle of an age when mankind walked closer to the divine. In Lemuria, the veil between spirit and matter was thinner. The people were not as dense, not as bound by physicality as we are today. Their bodies glowed faintly with inner light, their eyes shone like deep waters, and their voices were not needed to communicate, for they spoke in waves of thought, in telepathy, in pure resonance. Picture this: vast crystal cities rising like mountains of light, humming softly with frequencies that healed the body and opened the mind. Temples carved not from stone, but grown from the earth itself, shaped through the harmonics of sound and intention. Oceans alive with dolphins and whales, not just animals, but guardians and companions of consciousness. Everywhere, the land itself breathed with life, and the people of Lemuria listened. They did not conquer nature, they harmonized with it. And the greatest law of Lemuria was this: all is one. The Lemurians understood that every tree, every mountain, every star above was alive, conscious, and connected. To them, separation was the great illusion. They lived as part of the earth, not above it, and saw themselves as custodians of its harmony. Even birth and death were not feared, for they knew the soul was eternal, a traveler moving through experiences, returning again and again to learn, to grow, to remember. But here lies the question that stirs in every seeker's heart. If such a place existed, where is it now? Why did it fall? The story of Lemuria's fall is one of cycles. Just as the day gives way to night and summer yields to winter, so too does consciousness rise and fall in great ages. Lemuria flourished in a golden dawn, but no dawn lasts forever. Over time, subtle changes began. The earth itself shifted, continents trembled, seas rose, volcanoes awoke. But even more dangerous than the outer changes were the inner ones. As the cycles turned, humanity began to descend into denser experience. The Lemurians, once radiant and attuned, began to explore individuality, materiality, separation. This was part of the cosmic plan. Consciousness must ascend in order to rise again, but it came at a cost. Slowly, harmony weakened. The unity that had defined Lemuria began to fragment, and so came the great floodings, the slow sinking of lands. Piece by piece, Lemuria was swallowed by the ocean. Its once vast continent shattered into islands, its people scattered across the globe. Some migrated east, becoming ancestors of the Native American nations, carrying with them the memory of the Great Mother. Others went west, seeding wisdom into India, Tibet, and Polynesia. Everywhere they traveled, they left echoes of their homeland, chants of the sea, symbols of the spiral, reverence for the stars. The world may call Lemuria a myth, but myth itself is memory wearing a cloak of story. Myths survive because they are true in ways deeper than history books can record. Even now, fragments of Lemuria whisper to us, dreams of crystal cities, longings for the ocean, strange nostalgia for a world we cannot name. Some call it imagination, but spiritualists know better. These are soul memories resurfacing, because the Lemurians knew their age would end, but their wisdom would return. They planted it, encoded in crystals, in the DNA of humanity, and in the very grid of the earth itself, waiting for us. And here is the astonishing truth. That time is now. Have you felt it? The strange pull toward the mystical, the rising tide of spiritual awakening sweeping across the world? The fascination with energy, with vibration, with oneness. These are not accidents. They are the memory of Lemuria stirring within us. For we are the very souls who once walked its shores, return now to fulfill the prophecy of its rebirth. So, as we begin this journey into the full story of Lemuria, remember this: you are not simply learning about a lost land. You are remembering yourself. To understand Lemuria, we must step into the lives of its people, the people of light, as they were often remembered in oral traditions across the world. While modern history speaks only of tools and stone, the true memory of Lemuria lies in vibration, in consciousness, and in the subtle ways its people lived in harmony with the great forces of the cosmos. The Lemurians were unlike us, yet not strangers. Their bodies were taller, more graceful, infused with a luminous quality that was less dense than the human form of today. Some mystics describe them as having skin that shimmered faintly under the sun, almost translucent, allowing the light within to shine through. Their eyes were vast and deep, reflecting an understanding of both the physical and the spiritual worlds. Unlike modern humanity, whose senses are confined to the material, Lemurians perceived reality across multiple layers at once. They saw energy as color, they heard thoughts as tones, and they felt the emotions of others as though they were their own. To them, communication was effortless. Telepathy was their language, resonance their grammar. When they sang, it was not merely for beauty, but for creation. A Lemurian's song could calm the ocean, grow a tree, or heal a wound. For they understood the laws of vibration, that sound is not just noise, but the fabric of reality itself. Their chants still echo faintly in Polynesian traditions, in the long tones of Tibetan mantras, in the drumming of shamans. These are not coincidences, they are remnants of the same source. Lemurian society was built not on hierarchy, but on harmony. They saw themselves as a collective family, children of the earth and stars. While Atlantis would later become defined by its pursuit of technology, Lemuria remained rooted in the sacred feminine, the nurturing, intuitive, heart-centered energy that connected all beings. They lived close to nature, their villages woven into the land rather than imposed upon it. Homes were crafted from living trees shaped with song and intention. Crystals were used not as decorations, but as living beings, allies of consciousness that could amplify thought, store memory, and heal the body. Imagine walking through a Lemurian city, the air alive with fragrance of blossoms, the ground pulsing faintly with the hum of crystalline energy grids, children laughing as they play with dolphins along the shores. There is no sense of rush, no tyranny of time. Life is measured by cycles of the moon, by tides, by seasons. Existence is sacred in every breath. At the center of Lemurian life was the Temple of Light, though temple is a word too small for what it was. These structures, built from crystal and grown from Earth's own elements, served as resonant chambers, amplifying the consciousness of those within. Here the Lemurians would gather not to worship, but to remember their connection to Source. They would enter deep states of meditation, raising their vibration until they communed directly with higher realms of existence. Some say these temples aligned with the stars, serving as bridges between Earth and the cosmos. Others claim they were the very points where Earth's ley lines the meridians of planetary energy intersected, allowing the people to maintain balance across the whole world. Their wisdom extended far beyond what we call science today. The Lemurians understood the subtle anatomy of the human being, the chakras, the auric field, the multidimensional self, thousands of years before such concepts resurfaced in Eastern traditions. They healed with light, with sound, with water, and herbs, always respecting the natural flow of life. Illness was not treated as a disease to fight, but as a disharmony to be gently retuned. And most importantly, they never forgot that the true healer was the soul itself. But perhaps the greatest gift of Lemuria was its memory of oneness. The Lemurians lived in constant awareness that they were eternal beings, sparks of source energy incarnated for a time upon the earth. Death held no fear for them, for they saw beyond the veil. They remembered past lives, spoke with ancestors, and communed with beings of light, what we might now call angels, guides, or star families. For them, the universe was alive, conscious, and present in every moment. This way of life was not without challenge. Even in Lemuria, there were lessons to learn, karmic journeys to unfold. Yet the people never lost sight of their unity. This is why many modern spiritualists feel such a strange pull toward Lemuria, a longing for a time when life was not a struggle for survival, but a dance of spirit. And perhaps you have felt it too. A strange nostalgia for the ocean, as though its waves whisper secrets you once knew. A sudden connection to crystals, their colors and vibrations calling you in ways you cannot explain. A dream of floating cities, of singing stars, of an ancient home that dissolves as you wake but lingers in your heart all day. These are not accidents. They are the soul memories of Lemuria awakening within you. For the Lemurians never intended their wisdom to vanish. They knew their age would end. They knew the earth would change. And so they placed their teachings where they could not be destroyed, in the earth's crystalline grid, in the DNA of their descendants, and in the collective unconscious of humanity. This is why sacred sites across the world hum with strange energy, why shamans can access memories older than time, why the human heart still aches for a lost paradise. And here lies a truth we must understand. The wisdom of Lemuria is not gone, it is rising again. Look around you. The modern world, for all its chaos, is undergoing a great awakening. Meditation, energy healing, crystal work, plant medicine, all of these are re-emerging, just as prophecy said they would. Humanity is remembering what it once knew, piece by piece, as though the soul of Lemuria itself is whispering back into our ears. But with this awakening comes responsibility. For Lemuria fell, not by accident, but by the cycles of consciousness, by the slow descent into separation. If we are truly the descendants of Lemuria, then we must learn from its fall. We must carry forward the wisdom of harmony, of unity, of sacred relationship with Earth, or else we risk repeating the same cycle once again. The story of Lemuria is not just ancient history, it is a mirror held up to us now. It asks, will we remember? Will we awaken? Will we live as one, as our ancestors once did? Or will we let the illusion of separation rule us again? The choice is ours, and the time is now. But to understand the magnitude of this choice, we must also see the other side of the story, the rise of Atlantis, the sibling civilization of Lemuria, and the eventual clash of two paths, heart versus mind, spirit versus intellect, harmony versus control. For only when we see Lemuria, in contrast to Atlantis, can we truly understand the lessons it offers us today. Every golden age carries within it the seed of its decline. Just as the tide rises and falls, so too do civilizations wax and wane with the great cycles of time. Lemuria was no exception. For thousands of years, its people lived in harmony, guided by the law of oneness. Yet the universe is built on polarity, light and shadow, ascent and descent, union and separation. In order for humanity to fully explore the spectrum of experience, Lemuria too would have to fall. The story of Lemuria's decline is told in whispers, in fragmented myths, in visions carried by mystics across the ages. It did not end in one cataclysmic moment, as Atlantis is said to have done, but slowly, like a candle burning low. It began with a great shift of consciousness. Humanity, once luminous and subtle, was beginning its descent into denser physicality. Souls incarnated in Lemuria began to experience individuality more deeply, the sense of I and mine that would one day become dominant in our world. For some, this was thrilling, the birth of selfhood, creativity, the exploration of personal choice. But with individuality also came separation, and separation slowly eroded the unity that had defined Lemurian life. As the people grew more enmeshed in physical experience, their abilities of telepathy and resonance began to fade. Where once thoughts and feelings were shared effortlessly, now misunderstandings arose. Language, once unnecessary, began to develop. With language came differences in meaning, and with differences came the first seeds of conflict. At the same time, the Earth itself was changing. The great continent of Mu rested upon unstable ground, threaded with volcanic fire and surrounded by restless seas. Over centuries, the land began to quake and shift. Volcanoes roared, the oceans surged. Whole regions sank beneath the waves, while others rose from the deep. The Lemurians, once masters of living with the earth, began to fear her power. For the first time, they faced the reality that their homeland was not eternal. It was during this time that Atlantis began to rise. On the opposite side of the world, a new civilization was forming, rooted not in the feminine, intuitive heart of Lemuria, but in the masculine, intellectual pursuit of knowledge and control. The Atlanteans developed technologies of immense power, crystalline machines that could bend energy and matter to their will. Though they too descended from the same divine source, their path diverged sharply from that of the Lemurians. Where Lemuria honored unity with nature, Atlantis sought mastery over it. Tensions grew, not as wars of weapons, but as wars of philosophy. The Lemurians warned of imbalance, of forgetting the heart. The Atlanteans dismissed them as dreamers clinging to the past. And so the Earth became divided, not just geographically, but spiritually, two great civilizations embodying two paths of humanity. Yet the Lemurians were not ignorant of what was coming. They were seers, prophets, keepers of the Earth's memory. They knew their land would not survive the great cycles. The sinking was inevitable. And so they began the great preparation. Across the land, Lemurian priests and priestesses encoded their wisdom into crystal libraries, placing them deep within the earth where no flood could reach. They sang their knowledge into the stones, into the DNA of plants and animals, even into the very water of the oceans. They trained their children to carry the songs of memory across generations. And when the land trembled and the seas rose higher, they began their migration. Some traveled east, into the Americas, becoming the ancestors of the Hopi, the Maya, and many other First Nations who still tell of the time when the first people came from across the sea. Others journeyed west, seeding wisdom into India, Tibet, and the Pacific Islands. The Polynesian stories of Hiva, the Hawaiian chants of Mu, the Easter Island statues gazing endlessly across the ocean, all of these are echoes of that great scattering. And yet, even as they left, the Lemurians did not despair, for they knew that nothing truly ends. Death is but a doorway, and civilizations like souls are reborn in new forms. They left behind a prophecy that one day, when humanity had learned the lessons of separation, when the world stood once again on the edge of great transformation, the memory of Lemuria would awaken. The prophecy spoke of a time when the earth would shake once more, not to destroy, but to awaken. When the waters would rise, not to drown, but to cleanse. When humanity would stand at a crossroads, faced with the same choice as before, to live in harmony or to fall deeper into separation. And it is said that the children of Lemuria would return, not as a single nation rising from the sea, but as souls reincarnated across the earth, awakening one by one, remembering who they once were. These souls would feel a deep connection to the ocean, to crystals, to the stars. They would be drawn to healing, to spirituality, to the path of the heart. They would gather in communities, not bound by blood or land, but by resonance. And together, they would begin the great work of reawakening humanity. Does this sound familiar? For many listening, the stirrings of Lemuria are already alive within. The dreams, the synchronicities, the sudden knowing that you are here for a reason larger than yourself, all of these are signs of the prophecy unfolding. Even the earth reflects it. Have you noticed the rise of interest in ancient sites, in sacred geometry, in energy healing? These are not trends. They are the re-emergence of Lemurian memory. The crystals sold in shops today are not mere stones. They are keepers of the Lemurian codes, resurfacing now because humanity is ready to hear them again. Some say the Hawaiian Islands are the mountaintops of Lemuria, the last remnants of Mu that never sank. This is why those who visit Hawaii often feel a strange sense of homecoming, as though the land itself is alive and whispering. Others say the whales and dolphins are the ancient record keepers of Lemuria, carrying its vibration in the songs they still sing across the oceans. When you hear a whale's call, perhaps you are hearing the memory of Lemuria itself. But here lies the heart of the prophecy. Lemuria will not return as it once was. It will not rise again as a continent in the sea. Instead, it will return in us. We are the continuation of Lemuria, the embodiment of its prophecy. Its wisdom is not buried in the ocean floor. It is encoded in our very souls, waiting for us to awaken. And this is why the story of Lemuria matters today. Because we stand once again at the edge of great change. Our earth trembles, our seas rise, our societies strain under the weight of imbalance. The cycle has returned. The same choice lies before us. Will we live as children of separation, or as children of oneness? The Lemurians are watching, not from above, but from within us. And if we can remember their wisdom, if we can live once more by the law of harmony, then the prophecy will be fulfilled not as a lost land reborn, but as a new humanity awakened. But to understand this prophecy fully, we must now turn to the present age, the signs of Lemuria's awakening all around us, and what it means for those who feel its call. The story of Lemuria is not just a tale of the past. It is a mirror held up to the present. For though the land sank beneath the waves, the spirit of Lemuria never died. It was seeded into the earth, into the stars, and into the souls of those who would one day return to finish what their ancestors began. And that day, beloved listener, is now. Look around the world today. Beneath the chaos of politics, the noise of media, and the struggles of daily survival, something deeper is stirring. People everywhere are awakening. They are questioning the old systems, seeking a truth beyond materialism, feeling a strange pull toward the spiritual, the natural, the ancient. They are remembering. And in that remembrance, the song of Lemuria rises once more. This is not imagination. This is prophecy fulfilled. Have you ever wondered why so many are suddenly drawn to meditation, to crystals, to sound healing, to practices that only decades ago were dismissed as fringe or mystical nonsense? Why yoga, once confined to ashrams in India, is now practiced on every continent? Why shamans from the Amazon find seekers traveling from across the world to learn their medicine songs? Why the oceans call to us with a magnetic pull? Why so many feel an inexplicable connection to dolphins and whales? It is because the Lemurian codes are awakening. The crystals buried in the earth are releasing their memory. The whales are singing louder, their frequencies aligning with human brainwaves. Children are being born with heightened sensitivity, intuition, and gifts that defy explanation. And souls across the planet are experiencing the stirring of ancient memory, the knowing that they have walked this path before. The return of Lemuria is not about geography. It is about consciousness. The continent may never rise again from the Pacific, but the vibration of Lemuria is rising through humanity itself. And here is the key. You may be one of its carriers. Those who feel called to stories of Lemuria are rarely casual listeners. Something within you resonates with these words, because something within you remembers them. Perhaps you have felt it already: dreams of lost lands, visions of crystal temples, and unexplainable nostalgia when looking at the ocean. Perhaps you have always felt a little different from those around you, more sensitive, more intuitive, more connected to energies others cannot see. These are not accidents. They are the whispers of your Lemurian soul. You are not here by chance. You are here because the prophecy is awakening through you. But this awakening comes with responsibility. Lemuria fell because humanity descended into separation, forgetting the truth of unity. Now, as the cycle repeats, we must make a different choice. To carry the Lemurian light is not just to remember, but to embody, to live in harmony, to walk with compassion, to choose the path of the heart even when the world pushes us toward division. So what does it mean to live as a modern Lemurian? It means reconnecting with nature, not exploiting the earth, but honoring her as our mother. It means seeing every tree, every stone, every drop of water as sacred. It means listening to the wisdom of animals, of plants, of the wind and waves, as our ancestors once did. It means practicing resonance-speaking words that heal, not harm, using sound, song, and intention to uplift, recognizing that our vibration affects everything around us. It means remembering that healing is not merely physical, but spiritual, that illness, conflict, and suffering are symptoms of disconnection, and that the true cure is always love. It means reclaiming our gifts, intuition, telepathy, energy work that were once natural to us, and trusting that these are not fantasies, but birthrights waiting to be reawakened. Most of all, it means living from the truth of oneness, recognizing that we are not separate individuals fighting for survival, but sparks of one source, here to co-create a reality of harmony. The Lemurians left us signs to remind us. The Hawaiian Islands, with their vibrant life force and aloha spirit, carry the heart of Lemuria. The Polynesian chants, the Aboriginal Dreamtime stories, the Andean prophecies of Pachamama, all of these are fragments of the same truth. When you feel resonance with these traditions, you are not learning something new. You are remembering something ancient. And as we gather across cultures and continents, sharing wisdom, meditating, praying, healing, the prophecy unfolds. This is what was foreseen. The children of Lemuria, scattered across the world, finding one another again, not by blood or by land, but by vibration. Do you feel it? The pull to something greater than yourself? The sense that you are part of a global awakening, a remembering that transcends time and space. This is not fantasy. This is Lemuria, alive in you. Yet, we must be cautious. The Atlantean path still lingers, the pursuit of control, of domination, of technology without heart. Our modern world reflects this shadow vividly. Artificial intelligence, unchecked greed, the exploitation of Earth's resources. These are the echoes of Atlantis. But here lies our choice. Will we repeat the mistakes of the past, or will we choose the Lemurian way? The prophecy says we will choose differently this time. That is why you are here. That is why you are listening. You are part of the wave of souls who came to anchor Lemurian light back into the world. So let this be your reminder. You are not small. You are not lost. You are a carrier of ancient wisdom, a spark of the great Lemurian family, returned in this age to help humanity remember. Imagine what would happen if we lived this truth. If millions across the world began to embody Lemurian harmony, loving one another as family, caring for the earth as mother, honoring the unseen as real. Wars would fade, greed would dissolve, healing would blossom, and the paradise that was once lost would rise again not as a continent, but as a global consciousness. This is the return of Lemuria. Not land from the sea, but love from the soul. And so, dear one, I leave you with this call to action. Remember who you are. When you hold a crystal, listen to it not as a stone, but as an elder. When you hear the ocean, feel it not as water, but as the heartbeat of an ancient home. When you dream of lost lands, trust them not as fantasy, but as memory. Live with kindness. Walk in harmony. Sing your song of light. And know that every choice you make in love brings the prophecy closer to fulfillment. For you are Lemuria, reborn. The story is not finished. It continues with you. Lemuria's prophecy was never meant to remain hidden. It was meant to awaken at the very time we are living in now. If you feel the stirrings of memory, if you sense that you too are connected to this ancient land, then honor it. Pay attention to your dreams. Listen to your intuition. Reconnect with the earth, the crystals, the waters. For in doing so, you are not just remembering, you are rebuilding. There are deeper teachings about Lemuria I cannot share here, but I do share them in our free newsletter, Insights Academy. Sign up using the link in the description, and for a limited time, you'll receive a free digital copy of the Lemurian Codex, a collection of ancient teachings preserved by mystics across generations. So tell me, have you felt it? Do you dream of oceans, of crystal cities, of lives you cannot explain? If so, comment below. I remember Lemuria, because the truth is, the return of Lemuria does not begin in the ocean. It begins in us.